Welcome once more. Today we are going to be looking at how we can remotely exploit the Metasploit table operating system through our Kali Linux. So what are we saying here? What I'm saying here is that we want to sit at the comfort of our Kali Linux operating system and hack and exploit the Metasploit table framework. For us to do this, we are going to use a protocol known as Telnet. Telnet. What is Telnet? Telnet is a protocol that allows users to remotely access and manage devices, routers, switches, and servers from the comfort of their home or in a distance. Telnet operates in port 23. So without wasting much time, let us begin. Before you start any exploit, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, who do you want to exploit? Who do you want to hack? The person you want to exploit in this case is the Metasploit table, and this is its interface in front of us. So you're going to do an if config to know its IP address, and you notice that the IP address of the Metasploit table is 192.168.40.130. So you write it down. I am going to clear my screen like this because I've written it down already. And then the second thing I would like us to do before we start the actual exploit is to try to see the files that are found in the Metasploit table, so that when we finish our exploit, we are going to be able to sit here at the comfort of Kali Linux and access the files which are found in the Metasploit table. So what are these files here? If I do an ls, I discover that there is a file in this operating system known as vulnerable, and there is another file known as poor. So now that we have known the IP address of the Metasploit table, and we have also known the type of files that are found in the Metasploit table, we are going to go back now to Kali Linux, and then we start our exploit. The first thing you do is you do an MSF console. MSF console, which is a tool which we are going to use in exploiting the Metasploit table framework. When you hit enter, you wait for some time so that it can load. Now that it has loaded in front of us, the next thing is, since you want to exploit Telnet, you say search Telnet underscore login. You want to log into the Metasploit table using Telnet. That is why you are saying search Telnet underscore login, and you hit enter. Now it gives you two options here. The first option is given the number 0 here, as you can see here, and the second option is given the number 1. Now we want to log in into Telnet. This is the option we need. You can copy this information and you bring down here and you paste here, or you can as well just copy this 1 and bring down and paste here. Why am I copying 1? Because 1 is directed to this option here. So if I say use option 1 and I hit enter, it leads me to that option. That is why you can see here in red, scanner telnet underscore login. It means that we have taken that option, and that is the option which you want to use. The next thing now you are supposed to do is you say show me options. You are telling Kali Linux that it should show you the options which you need to use to exploit the Metasploit table. If you hit enter, it gives you a series of information here. Now the method which we are using is called a brute force attack. That is why you can see brute force here, like we saw in the last tutorial. And now it means that, what is brute force? Like we said in our last tutorial, brute force is simply a method of taking a series of proposed passwords and usernames and trying to link them together to see which username is going to match with which password to give you the username and password of the Metasploit operating system. So what do we need here? We need a pass file here. What is a pass file? A pass file refers to a created file which I have already created that contains a proposed passwords of the target. And then we also need a user file here. User file is a set of proposed usernames that I want to link to those proposed passwords to see which password or which username is going to match with which password for me to get the login credentials to the Metasploit table. Now after that, another thing that we are going to need is the stop on success. Stop on success here is like you are telling Kali Linux that when you start brute forcing, When you start matching the list of usernames and passwords, when you find the password, the correct password, stop the search immediately so as not to waste our time. So now that we have known this information, let us start our exploit. Another thing that we also need that I almost forgot is set our host. Where is our host? Yeah, our host here, which is a remote host. This is going to be the IP address of the Metasploit table. That is why initially when we started this tutorial, I first of all looked for the IP address of the Metasploit table. Now that we have known this information, we do set our host. I will say set our host with an S, please. I write it 192.168.40.130. This is the IP address of the Metasploit table. I hit enter. It shows me that our host has been set. Now the next thing is I'm going to set the pass file. I say set, sorry, my keyboard is too sensitive. Set pass underscore file. Now I set the directory where my files are. In my computer or in my Kali Linux operating system, my files are found in the home directory. And for me to direct this password file to the home directory, I use the tilde sign. What you see here is called the tilde sign plus a forward slash like this, and then I precise the file name that contains this password, and the file name that contains this password is pwds.txt, like this, and I hit enter. It shows that the pass file has been created. Now the next thing I would like to create is, or to set, is the user file. That is the file that contains the list of username, proposed usernames. So I set user file. I set user underscore file. I go to the same directory, /. The user file name is usr.txt. You can put anything you want here, so far as the file you created has that name, and then you hit enter like this. It shows that the user file has been created. When you see it like this, it shows that it has been created. Now the next thing we want to set is stop on success. Here it is false. I am going to set it to be true. So I will say, set stop underscore on underscore success, like this, and I hit enter. I'm supposed to set underscore to true, like this, and I hit enter. And then now you can say show options to see if you have filled every information which is needed for this exploit. Show me options. So it shows that we are doing a brute force attack, and that our pass file is found in a file name called passwords.txt, as you can see abbreviated here. And now the R host here is the remote operating system which we want to exploit, which is the IP address of this Metasploit table here. And then the next thing we would like to check is the stop on success, if it has been set from false to true, and this is it here. And then the last thing is the user file, which has also been set here. Now that you have done this, it is time to exploit. So you just say exploit like this, and it starts its brute force. It might take some time, and now you can see what is happening here. You see that it is slow. What it is doing here is that it is taking each username and trying to match with a password to see if they match. That is just what it's doing. And now you are seeing incorrect here. So when you do something like this, you have to wait. Maybe you sip your coffee, and then you come back later, and then you see the result for yourself to see which username matches with which password. So let us just wait for some time and see if it is going to give us a correct password as well as the username. So I'm going to pause here so as not to make the tutorial to be too long. Now we are back. If you look critically, you see this point with green. Look at it. This is the IP address here, and now you can see that login successful, and now it gives the username and the password. This is the username here, and this is the password here, meaning that the username to the Metasploit table framework is msfadmin and the password is msfadmin. So this is just what brute force is all about, taking a series of username and password and trying to match them to see which one matches with which one. Now that you have gotten this username and password, it is time for you now to log in into the Metasploit table 2 using these credentials which you have gotten. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another terminal like this. Let me zoom out. I go to another terminal like this, and now what do I do? Since I am exploiting Telnet, I'm going to type here Telnet 192.168.40.130. This is the IP address of the Metasploit table, and I hit enter like this. Now if you look here, it says you should give the Metasploit table login. The Metasploit table login is the credentials or the username and the password which we just brute forced in the other terminal. So it was msfadmin like this. I hit enter. It asks for the password. Obviously we know that the password is msfadmin like this, and I hit enter. So it says login incorrect. Maybe I made a mistake with the password msfadmin, and I hit enter, and then I wait to see what happens. Now if you look here, sorry for the break, if you look here, you see that we are already inside the Metasploit. We have already logged in. This is the password. No, this is the username which we used, and then the password was typed here. Obviously you cannot see the password because whenever you are logging into a system, you always, when you type password, you always see but a series of asterisks. So now that we are already in the Metasploit framework and we want to prove that we are already in the Metasploit framework, remember that there were a series of files called Paul and vulnerable which I had initially created in the Metasploit table here. If you come here, if you do an ls like this, you see that these are files here in the Metasploit table, Paul and vulnerable. Now let us access these files from Kali Linux here. If I do ls like this, it shows me that the files in the Metasploit table are Paul and vulnerable here. So I can as well create a file here and then go and check if that file has been created in the Metasploit table. So this is what attackers do. This is what hackers do. They get into a system, they occupy that system, they elevate their privileges, create files, delete files to cover their traces and all of that. So let us just say we want to create a file, like let's say make a directory. Let's just call the name maybe banner, and I hit enter. If I do an ls, now you're going to see that we have three files here. We have vulnerable, we have Paul, and we have banner. Now let us prove that what we are doing here, we are actively doing it in the Metasploit table, but from the comfort of Kali Linux. Now if I come back here and just do an ls here like this, look at it, my friends. Look at it. This is banner here, created here. This is Paul, created here. This is vulnerable, created here. Meaning that we have successfully logged in into the Metasploit table 2 from our Kali Linux. So this is just what hackers or the bad guys do to exploit systems. So what do we learn from this? The first thing we must learn from this is that you should make sure that whenever you buy an application, remove the default credential like what you see here as the password, which is msfadmin, and the username as msfadmin. It is wrong. Whenever you buy an application, you have to change, or you have to customize it using your own password. Secondly, you have to make sure that if you are using passwords, use complex passwords, which is going to be very difficult for brute forcing. Use upper cases, lower cases, mathematical signs, and every other information which you think that it can manage passwords well. So this is the end of our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Have a great day. Thank you.